You might not believe it's coming from Islam, but they do. So we have to come to them with an alternative or another counter-narrative, if you will, and be able to bring them back from the brink if at all possible.
Mohammed Robert Heft has been to the brink and back. Once a radicalized Muslim, he's seen how far things can go. Just take that alleged Via Rail plot or the attack on a gas plant in Algeria linked to men from London, Ontario. A theme emerges: the radicalization of young men fueled by extremely violent jihadist videos, some which you're about to see. So what to do? Here's Joanna Remiliotis' special report, The Enemy Within.
It's a very simple message that the West is the big devil.
The narrative is stark,
Muslims are the good people.
simple, and sinister.
The only deen Allah accepts is Al-Islam.
So in order to fight the West, you should take up arms.
A world of online extremism where terror reigns. And where recruits are lured to its shadows.
I specifically invite the youth to either fight in the West or join their brothers in the fronts of jihad.
Mohammed Robert Heft is a convert to a religion at times hijacked by violence. He knows firsthand how easy it is to fall prey to a message of hate in the name of God.
They come into the religion with a lot of zeal. They, like myself, had a personality, maybe what we call an extreme personality, compulsive personality. And when they come in, they want to do everything.
Mohammed Heft used to be Robert Heft, a gambler who liked to date, drink, and use drugs. He found something to believe in Islam and a way out of his old life. But when he met a radical Egyptian scholar, he soon discovered how treacherous the road to redemption can be.
He knew the Quran, and he would use it to justify his understanding of the prophetic traditions and manipulate it, same narrative. And he's saying I can walk in a Shoppers Drug Mart and steal.
Steal from non-Muslims, the infidels. The scholar said that was okay. Heft didn't steal, but he did start to sympathize. 9/11 was a turning point.
My most radical thoughts probably would have been when I saw the airplanes hitting the building. I was happy that America was finally getting back what they were dishing out.
Soon after, Heft left behind his pregnant wife and went to Iraq to be a human shield. To protect innocent Iraqis, he says. But after a few days of shock and awe, he had enough.
When I came back from Iraq, the reason I was pondering and reflecting when the bombs were going off around me was that it's not the lack of AK-47s the Muslims are missing. It's our lack of education and a lack of faith in a religion that we're born into, but we haven't really discovered.
Heft held on to a religion he says gave new meaning to his life. What he left behind was a path he believes would have turned violent.
When they're guiding you, they don't go from step 1 to step 10. Had he got me from believing in the narrative we're at war, and we can steal and lie and cheat, anything goes at that point.
Heft now runs Paradise Forever, a support group for new Muslims and those who have rediscovered their faith.
So at the end of the day, if you're asking us the jihad in the context of blowing yourself
Along the way, it became something else too. A de-radicalization program, a type of detox for those with extremist thoughts.
And if anyone in the community wants to do something like that in Canada or abroad, we'll cooperate for justice.
Certain members of the community are promoting, going off and killing innocents and blowing yourself up, but...
Dave Alexanderson is a regular here.
And if he's saying, come to the center, come...
He's a native Cree who embraced Islam 6 years ago practically overnight. Like Heft, it became a lifeline from a life of alcohol and drug abuse.
Basically in 24
You
hours span.
discovered Islam.
Converted, learned how to pray, everything, got in touch with the organization.
Isn't that rather quick?
It's quick, but I mean, at the same time, faith, I believe, is something that when you find it, it's phenomenal.
Alexanderson has been clean since.
Have a good day, sir. Free information on Islam. Free information on Islam. Free information on Islam.
These days, handing out flyers about Islam is as far as he takes his religion. But he used to be a lot more zealous, and a lot darker too.
Have a good day.
Alexanderson became fixated on the words of this man, Anwar al-Awlaki, an American imam called the Bin Laden of the internet.
The Jews and the Christians
His
will not
message
be
to
pleased
America
until we
is
become
still on YouTube,
like them.
calling for a worldwide jihad against America.
We are against evil, and America as a whole has turned into a nation of evil.
Why did this become your fight at that point?
Again, it's back to just being angry at the fact that you're seeing all these atrocities happen. You're seeing all these people being oppressed, and nobody's doing anything. Nobody's saying, no groups are getting together and saying, we need to stop this. We need to, go to our governments and do something about it. So then I thought, okay, then at the time being uneducated, having no knowledge of the religion, saying, okay, then it should be okay for someone to go fight and defend these people and protect them, so they won't get raped, they won't get attacked.
How many young people for example, are listening to al-Awlaki's videos and thinking, this guy's got a point?
Yeah, in our community, hundreds of young teenage to middle-aged, maybe between 18 and 30, 15 and 30, say, hundreds, if not more.
Most of them, Hef says, disenchanted young men looking for a cause and an identity in religion. Some, he says, latch on to an extreme version of it.
So what they find is, they get confused, so they're looking for the quickest way to gain God's mercy. They see what's going on all overseas. They're getting confused in the community where they're seeing all kinds of people saying different narratives, hundreds of different versions of Islam. And then they're seeing this version about jihad and saying, well, if I protect those people who've been oppressed, I'll just skip all of this chaos of trying to figure out and understand my religion, and then I'll go straight to paradise. They have the courage to die, but not the courage to live.
It may be why two young men from London, Ontario ended up dead after taking part in a terror attack in Algeria. Another one of their schoolmates is in prison, a fourth under investigation. Two were converts, the other two Muslims who renewed their faith. It's why there's a new urgency now within London's Muslim community to look for warning signs in others who may be at risk too.
I'll shoot for first ball. We got first already.
Every Friday, after evening prayer, teenagers gather at the mosque to play basketball too. But on this night, Abdul Habib's lecture is unusual. It's the start of a new outreach program.
We have an issue, whether it's in London, right, or whether it's with people going to the internet, okay, and learning things that are not accepted in Islam. And they end up committing crimes on the name of Islam. At the moment right now, we get about 150 kids. So if those 150 kids are able to become soldiers of the faith itself, of the true understanding of Islam, and they stand firm when people come, from different, even in the internet, or people locally come and try and skew their understanding of Islam, they're able to stand firm and, tell them, no, this isn't correct. What's an extremist view of Islam? Ali, give me one.
Suicide bombings.
Suicide bombings. What's wrong? What's wrong with suicide bombings?
How long to commit suicide? Kill yourself.
I want to know. What's wrong with suicide bombings?
Shouldn't take your life because God gave you life.
You can't kill yourself.
Or others.
You go to what? You go to hell forever? Well, every single person here.
But Habib says he can only get to so many kids.
I'm worried because this is not the end of it. Every single person in here, okay, is at risk in falling in their trap. That's what worries me the most, is how this is something we can't contain, even if we try our best. But at the end of the day, we gotta give it a shot. Sounds good? All right.
The recent Via Rail terror plot, the Boston bombings. Behind them, men who seem to suddenly disconnect from the societies they lived in. William Plotnikov is yet another chilling example. A young Russian Canadian who converted to Islam, who investigators believe may have a connection to the Boston bombers.
This is in mountain.
In Dagestan?
Yeah. He was always silent. When he came into this religion, he became like very, very closed. Not speak with me, not speak with my wife.
Plotnikov disappeared from home, only to surface in a jihadist video from the mountains of Dagestan where he was later killed. Here, he calls for death to the non-believers. His father, Vitaly, says his son went from being a typical teenager to a stranger.
Suddenly finish. No friends, no father, no mother. Only this is room and pray. That's it. Somebody changed his mind in Canada.
Heft has found it takes a village to find those solitary souls and to identify rhetoric that can turn into radical action.
There is increasingly a sense of isolation and alienation that
we don't necessarily have all the time to go and find out what everyone's views is. We're not thought police. But if we come across something that disturbs us, yes, we've learned to not just say, oh, he's just talking.
We're reaching them. We're reaching them.
He works with community leaders and police to create a web of vigilance.
Canadians are watching. These people doing it believe they're Muslim. We might not believe it's coming from Islam, but they do. So we have to come to them with an alternative or another counter-narrative, if you will, and be able to bring them back from the brink if at all possible.
Heft is just one man, and he alone has brought about 40 young men back from a very dangerous brink. His detox program involves 3 steps, starting with theological detox, offering support services, and creating a sense of community accountability. It's a lot of debating and a lot of debunking. With Dave Alexanderson, it started with discrediting the imam on YouTube who fired him up in the first place.
Well, I challenged him on a personal level. I said, look at how your upbringing was. You had a horrible upbringing. Your real jihad was to be a real man and a father to your children. Now you've jeopardized all that just to get emotional and talk about a war that you don't even know what's going on. You've only seen on YouTube. You don't know who the good guy, who the bad guy. It's such a mix. And then he thinks about it and says, yes.
It can take months, years to contain, if not eradicate a threat, and to provide a new sense of belonging. But Heft is well aware, too, how many more radicals he doesn't reach, how many more are deeply disguised in our midst.
They start reading about jihad, and man, there's a lot of crap going around the world. When policing agencies are looking for people that are radical, once they believe in that narrative, that person believes they can say anything. They can say, I'm all for peace and justice. I'm all for this. They'll say whatever because they believe at that point they're at war.
It is a disturbing and growing concern that devotion can shift into something dangerous. As these young Muslims memorize their holy book, the challenge for Heft and the hope for a community is a generation of believers finds peace in faith, not war. Joanna Brumeliotis, CBC News, Toronto.